These are the original Cloak and Daggers. The pages are like brown from like the 70s. Moshi Moshi, I'm a filthy Ravenclaw. Welcome to vlog number 5, and it's actually vlog number 5 this time. If you're new here, hello, my name is Spazz. I run Spazzatic Studio. I am Spazzatic Studio. Welcome to my second channel, where we do silly, goofy nonsense and I take you on my adventures. What are we talking about today? Vlog number 5. We're talking about HOBBIES. That's why I'm kind of dressed like a Ravenclaw. Okay, quick disclaimer. While I am a Harry Potter stan, I would like to publicly disavow Just Kidding Rowling, because ew, bro. Joanne's takes on the existence of trans people are negligible and frankly disgusting, and I don't like her. Everything that I have that is Harry Potter related was purchased from small businesses. Everything that I have that is Warner Brothers licensed was gifted to me over the years. Joanne, we are not friends. I do not like you. Also, check out this t-shirt. There's a band in Harry Potter called the Weird Sisters, and this is like a fake band merch t-shirt. And then in the back, there's like fake tour dates and tour locations, which I just thought was really fun. So, hobbies. I mean, aside from the obvious, I do consider like this to be a hobby. The art started out as a hobby, but because I lack the ability to do anything casually and I have to jump into it with both feet and my entire body all the time, things tend to spiral out of control. There are very little hobbies that have not turned into some form of like professional or semi-professional endeavors. If we're talking about books, I've always been a huge reader. My parents' main complaint when I was younger was that I didn't really want to like interact with other kids or really do much of anything like watch TV or be outside because I was always like reading. Into books. I was super into comics as a little kid. My dad had kept from when he was a kid in like the 70s comics, and he had like vacuum sealed them so that they would like, I guess, maintain freshness. As a very young kid, I'm talking like under the age of 10, I read She-Hulk, Cloak and Dagger, Moon Knight, Spider-Man, lot of Justice League. Justice League, the animated Justice League, and the movies were also available on VHS. I remember that I used to go with my grandmother to buy them at the dollar store, and so I had all of these VHSs. Eventually, Batman the Animated Series also became a mainstay in our household. And I was into Batman well into high school. I read Suicide Squad as it was like coming out, way before the movie was even a blip on anybody's radar. And then I saw the movie and I was like, man. But yeah, books. As an adult, I don't read a lot of fiction. I read informational books that are generally about the same topics over and over and over again. I'm really into the Victorian period of history. I collect Victorian antiques. We'll get to that later, but it's all history books. I used to have, this is not an exaggeration, thousands of books. When we moved to here, there's just no storage space, so I got rid of everything. I donated like 2,000 books to a recycling program. They came in like a giant like U-Haul truck thing, loaded the books off, and then left. I have less than 50 books in my library currently. They are all informational. If you want my official recommendations, I am very partial to Baba Ifa Karade if you want to read about Ifa, because we are Ifa and it's a whole thing. My degrees were in sociology. I got 3 college degrees. Yeehaw. And I specialized in third world history. So that was really fun. So my informational books are about generally Ifa, voodoo, Haitian voodoo, root work, conjure, different spiritualities, but in a historical context, the migration of the triangle trade and the slave trade and where the slaves came from and where they were left and how their societies like eventually developed. So it's a lot of that. Comes to fiction as an adult, I'm doing the classics. I am not super into like Jane Austen. I'm doing like the Bronte sisters, Wuthering Heights. I read that book while I was dying in palliative care, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It like got me through dying of disemboweled itis. I loved it. I love Wuthering Heights. Jane Eyre, Gaston Leroux, obviously, The Phantom of the Opera. What else? H.P. Lovecraft. There's really only 3 works that I like vocally. I'm indignant that I love by him. The Rats in the Walls, very disturbing. A good read. The Rats in the Walls, The Outsider, Pickman's Model. That's it. I've read all of like the stereotypical classics, A Tale of Two Cities, 40, 100 million, billion leagues under the sea, and the such. They're not all good. Some of them are just kind of there. I like Vladimir Nabokov too. I think we've all heard of Lolita at this point in pop culture. I read the original unabridged version of it a couple months ago, and let me tell you, it is nastier than I remember, which is the intended purpose. So it's a lot of that. The last fiction book that I read, because I do love me some horror, was actually Tampa. Tampa is insane. Tampa is a book about a female kid smiddler who becomes a middle school teacher on purpose to like seek out victims. She's insane. She's insane. I read it in one night because every time I closed the book to go to bed, I was like, I need to know. Like, I need to know what this psycho woman is gonna do. Shocking, horrible, amazing. So that was the last fiction book I read. And then obviously anything that is like vintage. So we'll talk about me being an eBay and estate sale warrior later. But like, I do have some books that are worth money. Yes. I have a print copy of the Encyclopedia of Fairies. This retails for, I've seen it go as high as like $400 or $500 online. This one is very much damaged, like, you can tell, you can see it's got water damage. I got it this way. I didn't water damage it, but I'm very proud of this find. So, old antique books, or like books from my childhood. I haven't thrown them away. I keep them, I have them, and then as my nephews and nieces get older, I often will pass on the more expensive ones, like, onto them. One of the books that I was really into was The Phantom of the Opera, and one of the movies that I was really into was The Phantom of the Opera. The movies in my rotation as a very young kid were Phantom of the Opera, Batman Begins, again, because I love a weird little freak. I could not give less of a shit about Batman. Even at that time, I was like, yeah, whatever. Because, you know, the cast of villains really is like what makes the franchise. But Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow did something to me even as a very young child, and I was like, yeah. I'm looking for like Cillian Murphy. I'm looking for Willem Dafoe, which, by the way, the Spider-Man movie that I was obsessed with was the one where Willem Dafoe plays the Green Goblin. Can you guess why? And also, by the way, sorry, on this subject, Justice League, the animated Justice League, and then later Batman the Animated Series came on the scene, and I had those on VHS, and my crush, my animated crush in the Justice League was, believe it or not, John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. I'll put a picture. The green version of him. Oh, baby! The really big dealness of it was so great that recently, somebody that I play Magic the Gathering with, the way that we met was the night that we met, I was like, you look familiar. And he was like, I know you. And I was like, do you? And he was like, yeah. And proceeded to rattle off not only mine, but my mother's government name. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, we went to pre-K, kindergarten, the 1st and 2nd grade together. And then I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, I do know you. So, and the first thing, he was like, I remember you like the Phantom of the Opera and Spider-Man. And I was like, oh my God, I did like those things an unhealthy amount. So there you go. The Phantom of the Opera was important to me because my mom was like really adamant that I was classically trained in the arts, because for Italians, things like opera, playing a musical instrument, classical painting is a big deal for us culturally. And so I was kind of put into like boot camp of, you're gonna do all of these things. I don't care if you like it, you're gonna do it. And I did like it, which was lucky for me. Opera, and I did it so proficiently and so, I guess, like, in such a militant, like, this is an everyday part of my life way, that my mom put me in a performing arts school. And this school went from elementary to the end of high school. You could do your entire pre-college career there, and I did. And one of the things that they made us do was we had production week in 10th and 11th grade, where you would not go to class, you would just do theater. And we had 2 theaters. We had an amphitheater with balconies and like full theater, and then in the basement, where there was once a pool, they had cemented over it and turned it into a theater with a green room in the back, and we had like industrial lighting set up. We had a full costumier, like full costumier, and we had resident artists. The whole thing with the school was that they would get adults, professional adults, to come and be sort of like contractually bound to the school and teach the kids. So our main opera guy that like taught us singing and did the operas and organized the shows and organized the extracurriculars was a resident artist. We had a kiln. We had a full pottery studio with a kiln in the basement. Resident artist. Costumier, resident artist. Lights, practical effects, sound, resident artist. Prop building, take down, like carpenters that like put up sets and take them down, resident artist. And so they would like teach us to do these things, and then you would be graded on like your performance. In grade 10, I did costumier. I hated it. This grade 11, I was Tituba in the Crucible. And I think I only got that role because they were like, you're Cuban, you do voodoo. And I was like, I guess. Like, but I'm not helping the stereotype, because then I went on to choreograph an interpretive dance to a song about Chango. So like, I'm not helping. Do you know what I mean? And that was it. And so I wasn't really into it, but I performed constantly. There was all genre of art at the school that I went to, which was great for me because I was an artiste. Drawing, obviously, has always been a big part of my life, and I'm happy to have turned it into my job. My interest for the visual arts has never gone away. And a lot of people over my life have told me, like, well, when you enter your 30s, or when you get past high school, or when you get past college, these things will kind of fall away and like give way to like your real passion, which usually is a fancy way of saying you'll decide on what job to have and capitalism will become your hobby. But like, no, it has not gone away. The backdrop of my entire life is drawing. My mom was hoping that in college I would go into the performing arts, or that I would get a music degree, and I was like, no thank you. For 8 years I played trumpet. Another thing that they made me do at the school that I went to was you had to pick an instrument. My mom wanted me to play the flute like you would not believe, and the flute woman, teacher, lady, main flute practitioner, whatever, wanted me to play the flute, and I wanted the trumpet so bad, but apparently nobody wanted they had to like force kids to learn the trumpet. So they gave me the trumpet, and then after that you would graduate, so you would like specify, like if you were in the Reeds playing clarinet, they were like, oh well, you know, we have an oboe. Or like for brass we had like French horn, trombone, tuba, anything that was brass. We had a full professional percussion section. It was a whole thing. So I played trumpet for 8 years as first chair, and I had a lovely time doing it. And then when I graduated, I had to give my trumpet back, and I cried. I'll put a picture of that too. But yeah, so I was like, it's time for me to do something new. When I was 17, I got into a relationship with a man who was problematically older than me. We're not going to get into that here, but he was Indian, and he had just come from India, and so I was exposed to a lot of Indian culture. He was the type of Indian, I think, or just the type of person in general that was not super interested in assimilating, which for me was fine because I got to have a lot of really fun experiences that otherwise I would not have had. It led to me making a lot of friends who were Indian. who had come like over from India, who are still my friends to this day, and it introduced me in a professional like setting to Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Hindustani classical singing, Carnatic classical singing, and the wide range of fantastic Indian instruments that you can learn to play. Now, where I had grown up in the ghetto was a lot of immigrants, because it was the ghetto. For a time, there was a big influx of Bengali and Indian immigrants. And so I had already had some cultural experiences from afar, kind of like watching them do their thing. When I went to the music school, for a long time, there was nobody else but me who had fresh off the boat immigrant friends. And so finally, eventually, we had a girl join our class. Her parents were like newly immigrated, and I was like, finally! So we bonded over that, which was really nice, because for a long time, I think that like my life was the subject of a lot of criticism from like the white kids who didn't understand. They thought everything that we did was weird and strange, like living in a multi-generational family, or not speaking English at home, or for some of my family members, not speaking English and French at all. There was a lot of like fresh off the boat immigrant cues that they didn't understand, but this girl understood. And so there was a really nice mutual sharing of the cultures for all of the years that we were friends. And one of the things that she introduced me to was Bollywood. And specifically, as a teen, I watched a lot of Devdas. And when I saw Chandramukhi, I said to myself, that's me. So in this relationship with this inappropriately older man, it ended on bad terms, and one of the things that was a point of contention was that I always wanted to say, I know all of these people that are doing things like Kathak or Bharatanatyam, and I want to be Chandramukhi. And he was like, no. And I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. So we broke up, and that's when it started. For the first couple years, did the Bharatanatyam, kind of went from like guru to guru to guru, because there was not an established Bharatanatyam school in my area. And so like, you know, people would come over from India, they would teach for maybe a couple months, and then they would go back. It was kind of like on a workshop basis. But I did my best, you know. And then for vocalism, same situation. Eventually, I realized it was time to like lock in. And so I found my lovely teacher, who went on to be my teacher for very many years, Aditya Verma. And I journeyed to his home, and I said, I want to learn to sing, and I want to learn to play sitar. And he was like, fine, but the sitar is gonna cost you. I worked a job that I hated. I hated it. For 6 months, $1,600, paid off my sitar, her name is Sita, in installments, got the sitar, started sitar. One day after class, he pulls me aside and he's like, are you still interested in like doing Bharatanatyam? And I was like, of course, I'm always interested in doing Bharatanatyam. He's like, somebody that my wife knows is coming over from Kerala to move to Canada to come do Bharatanatyam, like to teach full time. And his wife was like, he's amazing, he's fantastic, he's the best, like you don't even know. And I was like, I'll be the judge of that. Enter, bro, love of my life. I love my guru. He's not gonna watch this, but if you are for some reason watching this, I love you so much. Rajesh just is. To know him is to love him. To watch him is to be entertained by him. He is a lovely, wonderful man with whom I have had the most wonderful working relationship with. I was his Bharatanatyam student up until Arangetram training, when they diagnosed me with my tumor and I had to leave. He later became my Carnatic singing teacher because I didn't really want to do Hindustani vocal. I wanted to do Carnatic, but there was nobody around to do that. Eventually, during the pandemic, I also met my Kathak teacher, which she's my best friend in the world. Anita Pandey, everybody. Please, she is so, I genuinely, I say this with my whole chest, I think she's the most talented Kathak dancer alive today. But yeah, the Indian classical arts have been such a big part of my life. in a way that I can't even, my love for it and my appreciation for it, my cup overfloweth. I'm getting emotional now. I like feel the tears developing in my eyes. The art for me, because I didn't just want to be a culture vulture. I didn't want to just be like, I'm white and I'm doing Bharatanatyam. Let me into your little club. So I spent a lot of time volunteering. For the better part of over 5 years, I was doing classical music full time. I was working 3 jobs to pay for everything on top of going to college. I remember I used to like go to school from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., change in the library, get on a train, go from college to where we would do Bharatanatyam on Wednesdays, do that until 11 o'clock at night. It would take me 3.5 hours to come home. I would have to walk down the highway in Quebec winter, -40, freezing, raining, snowing. I did it for years. Up at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, do the same thing. Every Sunday, a foot of snow. I used to come into my Bharatanatyam class just wet, because I was like trudging through snowbanks because I would walk to the temple every Sunday for years. I volunteered for everybody. I volunteered for all of the Gujaratis, the Tamils, the Malayalis, every holiday, Onam, Diwali, the most obscure, like Dussehra, like everything. Taking care of old people, going to their houses and spending time with them because, like, you know, a lot of senior citizens, their families get on with their lives and move away to other provinces and they don't have them anymore. I would go dress the dancers for free, volunteer at shows I wasn't even in, to prep people for free, perform for the old people, do lunches for the old people, take care of people's kids for free, get the little kids ready for their Bharatanatyam concerts that, again, I was not in. I'm talking traveling all over the city with my big-ass sitar that is taller than I am to Mr. Aditya Verma's house in a different freaking part of Quebec. Like 7 hours of traveling to do a 1-hour class. And I would not take back even this much of it. There is not a day that passes, I think, that the palpable, like, effect that Indian classical art has had on my life is not felt. And being in the thick of Western music my entire life, like, people go to university and get PhDs to have a fraction of the amount of exposure to classical art that my family, like, made sure that I had. All of that pales in comparison to the years that I went out into the world on my own and said, I'm becoming a Devadasi now. Now. And I did it. I think I did it. It was short-lived because then I got the tumor and everything grinded to a halt. But like one day I will be back and you will see me on a vlog doing Kathak or Bharatanatyam or whatever it is. So, if you're a chronic hobby collector, you've come to the right place. Let me know if there's a specific hobby you want me to like go into detail with. Maybe we can do like a tour of the fun and interesting things that I own. And like, yeah, absolutely, we'll do it. 3 beverages to function. 1 for fun, 1 for wakefulness, question mark, and 1 for hydration. Today we are going to be doing a craft. It is a craft I have never done before. So, as we know, Mr. Binky is the light of my life, and he likes clothes. In the morning, he'll like pick a shirt and he'll like bother you to put the shirt on him. But in the summertime, obviously, I'm not going to start crocheting him shirts. I crochet most of his clothes, but I bought him. It's like a little, like, isn't it so cute? We can even like match. I think I can like wrap this around the back of my... These are for cats because the BINK is small. It came with a green one, a yellow one, a blue one, and a pink one. I love Hazel the mini wiener, and she always has these like big like beaded necklaces and then a little foulard, and so I figured we would make the BINK a little matching necklace. I've never beaded anything before. I am not a jewelry maker.
I'm not good at it. The most ambitious jewelry making project I've ever undertaken was I made a waist chain, which was literally just like beads on a string. So that's the level of artistry that we can expect from me. I found a tutorial and I bought everything that she has in the tutorial. He's so girthy. He's such a weird, girthy little boy. I guess we'll start with blue. So we'll pick out some nice beads. Also, listen to the sound, little ASMR moment. Is this doing it for anybody? I'm gonna drop these, I don't trust myself. Is this doing something for you? This is the setup. Back. Okay, hold on. Are you 49 strand? Yes, 49 strand beading wire. Okay, okay, okay. That my trinket making friends are watching this and they're like, you are a disgrace to us all. Did I break it? No, I don't know what I did. It's definitely, what the fuck? I don't know what I did. Because I don't know. Wait. Maybe I can do 2 crimp covers. Fuck. Okay, let's bead.
Clip off the accent. The first steps.
I shouldn't have pre-cut this wire. Okay, this is gonna be, I think, the pattern. I love how this entire experience has just been me making like easily avoidable mistakes. If I just go like 30 seconds ahead in the fucking video that I'm trying to learn from. So we'll do the steps again. Properly this time. Okay, I tried it on Lucifer, but he is way too girthy. Is I'll take like well over, please don't fall. Guys, okay, apparently there's like an odd number of beads that they gave me for the colors, so we need to introduce another color. This is ASMR. Do they make a sound? I can't tell. These look like, do they fit me? They don't. These look like anal beads. Anal beads. Anal beads. Blue, yellow, pink, and green. Bro. Moment, you're blowing up my spot, dog. Get it? Because you're a dog. Did you know you're a dog? Most handsome little boy in the world. Wait. You the most handsome little boy in the world. You're so cute. How do you feel? Yeah? How do you feel? Bedroom mama. Bedroom mama. How do you feel? Oh, my little guy and his little accessories. Oh, the handsomest little guy. Che bello guaglione. Che bello guaglione. Che Dio ti benedica.
How do you do it, my handsome? Good morning. So fashionable. Do big run. Oh, big run.
Hi. I made him this. I'm currently trying to learn how to do stuff with beads. Are you honky honking? I got him these little handkerchiefs for the summertime. So this is just some like double accessorizing on the BINKUS's part. I just wanted to share all of these important Moomin updates. Look at that little Moomin boy. My little Moomin man. I love you, Moomin. Friends, enemies, frenemies, we have once again reached the end of the vlog. If you like this vlog, like, comment, and subscribe. Come hang out with me on TikTok. I'm doing Desi fashion. I'm doing videos with sitars. I'm doing hilarious misadventures. Come hang out on TikTok. Come find me on Instagram. If you are interested in the kind of art that I do, you can absolutely check me out on my main channel. Check out my Patreon as well. You get a say in what videos get made, and you can also give your 2 cents on the vlogs, which I think is nice. That's all from me for today. Swingle that bwingle, boingle that squingle. Like, comment, and subscribe. Be nice to each other, and I love you very much. Bye!